book talk. So I am going to discuss 3 books for Read Woke. The Read Woke Challenge is going on right now for our adult winter reading. And let me tell you a little bit about it. So the word woke became trendy a few years ago to mean, someone who's enlightened. If you're woke, then you're aware of like issues of humanitarian issues, and you're aware of diversity and different cultures, and you're sensitive to that and people's diverse abilities, and treating people with respect and having to be seen and treat everyone in a humane way. So that's basically what woke is. And so a librarian took that idea and made a reading challenge called Read Woke. So we're doing that challenge now. And so the idea is to read books that are diverse or have some kind of social justice theme or some kind of humanitarian issue theme. But the point is to still have fun reading. There's a variety of books you can read that are very entertaining. They don't have to be serious for our purposes. So I'm going to start with a book that I read on Hoopla. So The Known World by Edward P. Jones is available on Hoopla. You can check it out right now, no waits. So this is a book about slave times in America. And I think this book is kind of important because it shows that there were actually it shows, slavery, but it also shows that there were actually some black slave owners, and it was rare, but true story. So he makes this historical fiction with a bunch of characters in the South during slavery times, and this book won the Pulitzer in 2004, and it came out in 2003. And I had never read it till recently, but it was a fun historical fiction. Obviously lots of action because people are, trying to survive slavery. There's relationships between the characters. There's a lot of characters in this book, but I didn't think it was too many to keep track. But it did have like an epic kind of feel to it. It went through a couple generations, and it was very entertaining. So I would recommend it. And yes, that little known facts based on true stories. Well, yes, facts are true. Maybe we'll cut that part out. And also how some slaves were striving to buy their way out of slavery, which also was another way that that worked in those days. So yes, good people, bad people, gray people, gray area people, but definitely has Read Woke issues in it. Okay, so the next book I'm going to talk about is called Educated, a memoir by Tara Westover. This one is a girl growing up in a Mormon family with parents who are extremely fundamental Mormon, and they're survivalists, and they homeschool their kids, and it's a very, very unique lifestyle. She grows up with a bunch of brothers working for their dad, and the dad is a very entertaining character. He is kind of cuckoo, but he believes that God is favoring him, and he puts his family in these dangerous situations, thinking that God is going to take care of them, and it's pretty extraordinary. If you read this book, it's like you can't believe some of the things that he believes, but you can also see that how he's like bipolar, and he refuses to go to the doctor or take their kids to the doctor. They didn't even get birth certificates for their youngest 3 kids because they didn't trust the government at all. They're just like very off the grid. So it's very different lifestyle, different religion, obviously, but to the extreme. But it was very entertaining. We just read this for book club, And we were very split. There were some people who loved it, thought it was very entertaining, some people who liked it, and then some people who hated it because they couldn't, stand some of the characters, especially the dad. It's infuriating, some of the decisions that he makes. So if you liked The Glass Castle, the memoir from about 10 or more years ago, this is similar. Again, if you didn't like The Glass Castle because you just couldn't stand the parents in that novel, in that memoir, then you probably won't like this memoir either. But I did like The Glass Castle, and I liked this one, and I can recommend it as a very interesting read from a girl from a very unique family, like I said, and she actually ends up going to college and having to decide whether she's going to break away from her family or not, because the father, doesn't believe so much in education because the government will brainwash people with education. So you have to, she's got some tough decisions when she grows up. So it's very, very interesting. I would recommend it, and definitely will make you more woke to different lifestyles here in our country. So, and then the newest one I'm going to talk about is called Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. This just came out in 2020, and it just won the National Book Award. All of these I'm talking about today are award winners, but read woke books don't have to be award winners. Like I said, they don't even have to be serious. You could read a romance about an interracial couple, for example. So this one is interesting because some of it is in the form of a screenplay, if you can see. Willis Wu, the character here, the main character, he does some bit parts for a TV series, and so do some of his neighbors in his Chinatown. And his aim is to someday become a kung fu guy, which is, the biggest goal that he can think of someone like him can reach. So this uses some humorous situations to kind of shine a light on the Asian American experience, and it has this kind of different format to kind of bring awareness to it and make statements about it. I didn't love it because I thought it would be more humorous than I found it to be, but maybe that was just me. I felt like the ending was disappointing to me because in the there's a trial scene in this TV show that he's in, and this character, older brother, the name of the character is older brother, he starts making a long speech and explaining the whole point of this book about the Asian American experience, and this character is explaining, and I felt that didn't need to happen because we could get it already just from reading about the characters and the situation and the plot and everything. And so then the main character has long monologues too, basically explaining the book, and I felt like we didn't need the explanation. We could have just gotten that from the story. So that was my only disappointment with this book, but definitely a pretty unique read, and there were some fun observations, and it's definitely a read woke book. So try some of these books and leave some comments, and join our winter reading. And thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the Stickney-Forest View Public Library's YouTube channel. Also, like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Stickney-Forest View Public Library District, where great things happen.